Cobra Kai, Season 6. Is it the best season so far? Well, yes and no at the same time. Now, I'm not going to sit there and go piece by piece, episode by episode, but I want to talk about some of the stuff that I liked and some of the stuff that was just WTF. Because I just finished watching the last episode. And before I get into whatever that was supposed to be, Nichols. I'm gonna be honest, I really didn't like when they decided to make her the villain. In a sense, they made her go back to Cobra Kai. Like, yes, I understood that her mom died and everything like that. And she was in a downward spiral, and she really needed this tournament, this level of proof to sit and be like, well, I was the best or whatever. But on some level, I'm kind of sitting there looking at it, and I'm like, so let me get this straight. She pretty much feels like her life is going to go downhill after that. So she's like, well, karate is the only thing that she has. And it's just like, I know it's called Cobra Kai and it's centered around martial arts and everything like that. But I'm like, is she really not there just that much in depression where she's like, well, martial arts is just like everything? And part of me is just like, I mean, I know grief works in different ways for different people. So on some level, I'm willing to let that slide, but it's just like, okay. But again, I really didn't like the fact that it was like, oh my god, now she's a villain again. It's just like, oh, okay. Pretty sure they did this before, and she was on the hero side for like maybe a season and a half, and then she's back to being a villain. It's like, and of course she's a villain, but her heart's not really in it. So it's like that decision just kind of baffled me. But I will sit there and say that the fight scenes are crazy. And I gotta sit there and say, Miguel's transformation from like season one to like all the way now is like at beast level, right? Like he is just so much of a badass. And I love that transformation. And of course, Robbie, I mean, he's just Robbie at this point. And there's a point where he's fighting. I forgot the other guy, um, the one who turns into a sociopath. But this is the second time I noticed that he did this move in Dragon Ball Super called Ultra Instinct. You first see it when he's fighting Kenny, and then you see it again when he's fighting the guy when he's fighting the guy towards the end. It's like he just starts reacting, you know? Like he's not even really, he's just fighting on instinct at this point. And the guy's just getting more frustrated. And I gotta sit there and say, I respect that. I respect that. But yeah, the fight scenes are just incredible, right? And of course, at some point, you do get the Silver Fox back. And part of me's not there looking at that and be like, see, this is the thing about season six. I feel like there was some decisions that they just made that just seemed like, all right, let's just do it. Or they were just last minute decisions, right? And the one of the biggest parts is towards the end, where okay, they start off with the tournament and everything like that, and then like randomly the judge kicks one of the teams out they're saying that they are on like performance drugs and everything. So they get out. And I'm like, okay, maybe Terry has something to do with it. Maybe Kreese has something to do with it. They don't really get into how that happens, but they kick the team out. And so even though that, Cobra Kai was eliminated, They just magically come back there. And I'm like, of course they do. Of course they do. And part of me is like, really? Because if that was the case, why didn't you just have them win and beat some of the other teams so they can literally go up against Cobra Kai since they're the main enemy? There's one chick on this season. I don't know who she is, but she does the whole social media thing, and she's just super annoying. I just want to point that out. Um, but then they get to the finals and they do the whole training montage and everything like that, and they get to the actual finals, right? And you have the people that's going to be fighting other people and stuff, and so it's great so far, right? And I feel like maybe this might have been the original plan to sit there and just have each team or whatever fight each different type of groups and stuff. But then it gets to a point where Robbie's fighting, which, by the way, there's a character in this season that has the whole Ivory, the guy who Rocky fought, um Drago, whatever. They have like this clone version, this martial arts version, who hangs out with Sam for like maybe, I don't know, 20 something minutes. And it's just instantly falls for her. After they like force some guys or whatever, and he tries to kiss her. And she's like, I think he kind of misread the situation because he saw like the guy was getting like abused a little bit. And she's like, hey, listen, I got a boyfriend. And then at some point, Miguel comes back, which that whole scene where Carmen might have came across as a very touching moment. And I understand that Miguel and Johnny had to sit there and work out their shit. But it also just seemed like it was one of those episodes that just went nowhere. It's like they got there because they thought Carmen was like in danger and she just had some sort of blood pressure thing or whatever. And she was fine. She was like, hey, y'all go back there, y'all win this thing. And I'm like, so let me get this straight. Y'all did a whole dedication to go see Carmen just to go all the way back. Okay. And also to get Kenny, which is cool. Um, yeah, he has this whole thing. He's like super jealous of Miguel and everything over one rejection. So this guy is really pressed when he's ready to sit there and fight like Miguel. And he keeps looking at him and just and he gets to a point where this guy is fighting Robbie. And he's giving Robbie some problems and stuff. Next thing you know, I guess he pushes him or kicks him or whatever into Cobra Kai's team, and that guy, the psychopath or whatever, wound up doing some sort of cheap shot. So you hit him a little bit, and the teams start getting each other's faces and stuff. And the main referee or the main head hunter, whatever, is like, "Hey, listen, y'all guys need to stop it." Now, the team that got kicked out, the guy just got really angry and comes up and punches him in the face. And then it's just this word rumble. And I'm like, was this part of was this, part of me feels like this was either just really random or just a last minute decision. Now, while the fight is cool because, everyone's working, um, everyone's fighting everyone and everyone's teaming up. And there's one point where like Nichols is having problems fighting this chick or whatever, she gets like, because here's the thing, everyone's fighting. But at some point, everyone gets hit or knocked around, and it's always like a snuff attack by some other person. So while I guess like Nichols is fighting somebody, the Brazilian chick comes in, and then of course Sam comes in and she helps him. So you got this whole 3-on-3 thing or whatever. And while some of these fights are cool, I can't help but sit there and think this shit is just so goddamn random. And in a lot of sense, it was just like this. Like I kind of just wish they just would have went straight for the tournament part instead of doing all this random shit where everyone's just fighting everyone because it just made no damn sense. It really made no damn sense. This guy gets all upset and he hits the ref. Next thing you know, he's sitting there ordering his people to sit there and fight everybody. And it's like, I think it was season two, when they did that whole everyone sitting there fighting everyone in high school. And that was kind of cool because it wasn't like there was a tournament and then people just start coming in and just start fighting randomly. It was like, no, they had issues for a hot minute between Cobra Kai and Miyagi Do and um, Robert and Miguel and of course Torres and LaRusso. So like this just seemed like it was very natural as far as like a whole brawl and everything. And of course you had Hawk and he had his anger issues. So the minute he saw a fight, he was like, oh, okay, cool. This is what's up. Like this is what I've been waiting for all effing day. So that made sense why there was a Royal Rumble. That shit just seemed like it came out of nowhere, and I'm like, why? Of course, there's some pretty cool team ups or whatever. Um, I can't remember the chick with the ponytail, the ponytail, whatever. She's fighting these two people, and I think the guy's name is Chosen or whatever. Comes in and helps her up because they just like randomly hooked up. And here's the thing: I'm not a big romance guy, right? I'm not a big romance guy. It kind of work, right? Like she is super aggressive, and he could be aggressive when it's like necessary. So I just feel like those two just work. So watching them like fight together and like kick ass and everything like that was really cool. Like the fight scenes is crazy. It just doesn't make sense. And there's one point where this guy, the sociopath or whatever, picks up a knife. And that knife was supposed to be used by Creed to sit there and take out Silvers, because Silvers just happens to be there because reasons, right? So he's about to sit there and pull out the knife. He's like, "Oh, I have a knife. I guess I'd sit there and use my bare hands." And there's one point, I guess, the karate Drago or whatever decides to help out Sam, um, fight the sociopath. So he comes in, he starts fighting him, he starts winning. Now at this point, this guy is just pissed off for losing, right? And don't get me wrong, this guy is a badass fighter, but he is pissed off for losing. And so at one point, he grabs the knife and he comes in there and he starts trying to, he's about to sit there and I guess kill that guy. Now Daniel sees the whole thing, and which I'm like, okay, I get you want to sit there and be the good guy and stop this person from doing that. But I'm like, bro, you are already in a fight with you, and I don't know why his name escapes me for some odd reason. You and Johnny. Well, by the way, y'all are both not doing well against this guy, and you decide to stop helping Johnny to go and try to stop this kid. So this, and granted, this is live, right? So Daniel's wife and kid and everything like that, and a lot of people back home is watching this. He comes up, he starts like kicking him and start trying to fight him and stuff like that. There's one point where he's jumping in the air to sit there and do some sort of spinning kick, and the guy knocks him off balance. He falls on the knife, and everyone stops. Right? It's just like this big tension moment. Like you feel it when you're watching it, and you realize that he stabbed himself. Now, I can appreciate this scene in a sense because it's like you thought, and I thought, and most people thought that it was going to be Daniel that was going to get, he was going to try to save this guy and get stabbed or whatever. And it just turned out that he stabbed himself, and everyone's like shook, all shocked and stuff like that. And I don't mean to sound like a dick, but I'm like, this guy was. Listen, I know he's dead. It was like this guy gonna grow up to be a future serial killer. Okay, that's what this guy was going to be. He was going to grow up to be a future serial killer. So I'm kind of just like, well, everyone's like, and they seem like they're crying and stuff like that. I'm like, oh my god, he's dead. I'm just like, no offense, but I'm like, the world's kind of gonna be a better place without one less sociopath in the world. So I'm kind of just like, and that's the thing. That's what makes everyone stop. Everyone's fighting it. Everyone stops when they see, you know, him dead, and that's pretty much how it ends. And so while I am looking forward to season 6, I felt like well, part 3 of season 6, because they decided to break it up into pieces like crackheads. While I am looking forward to the last part of me is that they're looking at some of the decisions that they made in this season, and I'm like, yeah, I can kind of see why they're kind of ending this show. I'm not just saying that this is like a trash season, right? Because there are good aspects to it, but between them deciding to make Nichols go for Team Bad, but she's not really Team Bad, and then just all the other stuff that wound up happening, and then this random Royal Rumble. I'm like, what are y'all doing? Just on a side note, when did 5 episodes become an entire season? Just in any show. Like I was watching Umbrella Academy, and the last season with 5 episodes. Listen, I understand that it's tough, it's not they're producing a show and it's expensive and everything like that, and I get that. But I'm like, I remember when I started watching streaming service shows, and like 8 to 10 episodes seemed like they were like, oh wow, that's so weird, that's so short. Because I came from 22, 24 episodes, which now I think it's an eternity. 5 episodes? I mean, granted, they're doing it in parts. So in reality, it's more like 15 episodes, I imagine. So it's not super terrible when you really think about it, but there were just things in this season that I can't. I can't. I love the character development and stuff like that of these characters. And there's a point where they're all in the locker room. It's like, listen, it's going to be our last fight. And I felt that. And I was like, wow, you watch it from way back when. And granted, this show, even the first 2 seasons on YouTube, was a lot better than it deserved to be. So I can appreciate this show as a whole, and I understand that not every season is going to be great, but like, so was this season the best season ever? No. It wasn't the worst season I've ever seen in any television show. I just felt like they just did stuff that just like baffled the living shit out of me. And hopefully, when we get to that second part, maybe we do find out that it was Silver that got those people kicked out. I know he was not there talking about some sort of plan, but I thought that they were going to sit there and say, "Oh well, Cobra Kai, Miyagi Do was cheating or whatever." That would have made some sort of sense instead of just throwing another random person in there and be like, "Oh well, Cobra Kai is back." It's like, well, but they won. Like, why? Why are they fighting them again for? Like this really does not make any damn sense. Um, I don't know. I feel like that's pretty much about it. I'll probably talk more about this stuff in my live stream, but this is just stuff that I thought kind of just off the cuff or whatever, and I just finished watching it. So anyway, if you did enjoy the season, tell me why. And if you didn't enjoy the season, tell me why. What stuff you thought could have been better? How they could have went about it a little bit more better? I didn't get a chance to watch the trailer for Karate Kid, even though they're doing Kung Fu, which I'm just like, okay. It baffled me at first, and then I watched this season. I was like, you know what? Okay, you know what? This season baffled me, so I'm not going to be too surprised. Anyway, that's pretty much what I got. Let me know in the comment section, and I'll see you in the next video.